Going to visit the old city of Matera, whose name is Sassy. Sassy in Italian means stones, but in Matera, Sassy and stones. There are two residential districts. This is Sasso Barisano, and there is Sasso Cavioso too, which is located over the cathedral, whose bell tower and facade are located over there. Cavioso, the second one, takes its name from cave, which means cave. Over there are many cave houses. Sasso Barisano was the less poor district. Many craftsmen lived here. In Cavioso there were many shepherds and peasants. Shepherds and peasants preferred digging their houses. It was less expensive. The cathedral is Romanesque. It was built in the 13th century. On Romanesque churches, there is usually the rose window. The rose window was the window life, and you can see 12 columns, which are the symbol of 12 apostles. The bell tower, 52 meters high. It was a sort of a lighthouse for shepherds and peasants who came from the fields located around the old city.
The Church of San Giovanni Battista was originally built in 1236 to replace a Benedictine chapel.
Of angels, can you see?
Yes.
6 angels' heads dates back to the 13th century because they are Romanesque. So the previous facade dates back to the 13th century, but these arches and the statue of St. John the Baptist dates back to the 17th century because it was renovated inside and mostly these arches supported the previous facade.
Right. It was abandoned for over 2 centuries until about the 18th century.
Interesting because they are different to each other, and we usually see three characters. Three characters are the symbol of a Trinity. Here, for example, you can see
The 2 boars and a snake on that capital. Everyone is different.
The wolf is the symbol of wisdom. Snake is the symbol of evil. To Baroque church because this chapel is Baroque. You can see the Baroque altar. A painting by Vito Antonio Conversi, an oil painting dating back to the 18th century. Baroque style, but during the last restoration, the previous fresco came out because the Holy Virgin with the Child dates back to the 13th century.
Women's galleries up there.
Attended the Mass.
That's a better view of the women's gallery up there. It's always hard to believe that anything survives from the 13th century.
Annunziata Palace. Annunziata Palace originally was a Dominican monastery. There were Dominican nuns. It dates back to the 11th century, but a district we saw from your hotel, because if you remember we saw the facade and the bell tower of the cathedral.
Yes, we did.
Undoubtedly this is the most renovated district. The gutters, channels, which were used to collect rainwater, because rainwater was very important. Purgatory. Purgatory was considered as the waiting room for paradise. That's why you can see skulls and skeletons. The facade is in the shape of a mitre, the bishop's hat. Underneath that, there are negative elements. You can see skulls, skeletons, because it is the allegory of a penitence. The door, the wooden door, is very interesting because you can see 2 levels of skulls. First one, there are skulls without any hearts, which are the symbol of poor people. On the second level, there are prelates and rulers, the king, the bishop, the abbot.
Well, as we say back home, nothing is certain but death and taxes.
Chart the unrolling of centuries. On the right, there are natural caves dating back to Stone Age. Inside, archaeologists found artifacts dating back 7,000 before Christ, Neolithic period. And they said Matera is one of the oldest cities in the world, thanks to the continuation of human presence. The left of the bell tower, you can see a noble palace with arches which was built in the 18th century. Part of the boundary wall which surrounded and protected the most important area where clergy nobility lived.
This is a chimney. As we're walking down all these steps, we're basically walking on top of roofs of houses. It's layer after layer after layer. Many, Steve will turn around and show you, are being renovated. They have certain standards for renovation too. At one time, this land was all under the sea, millions and millions of years ago, but you can still see the seashells.
So, in the old city, there were special areas called vicinate. A vicinato was a neighborhood, a courtyard, a small square surrounded by several houses. In each house, there were at least 10 people. So a neighborhood was formed by 50, 60, 100 people who shared the outdoor space with the neighbors. So they formed a small community, a social network who was very united. But this solidarity was lost in the new city. The second problem was the contact with animals. In these houses, animals slept inside to tie the donkey.
So there was donkey parking?
Yes, because people used a rope to tie.
Sure. You can see more shells on the wall here. They have found remains from Neolithic times in Matera.
Some graves were opened in the 60s and the 70s when the old city was completely abandoned. That's why now there are no skeletons, just pebbles.
Nobody lives in that entire area at all.
People, but they are tourists. And
how many graves were there?
I don't remember exactly, but about 100. But there were other cemeteries like this.
Holding up the gutter are donkey bones. When they come in contact with water, they become very strong, according to Amelia. It's a use for everything. Those are just tourists walking around the old houses, but it will be left empty forever. A living museum. You can see people walking all the way up there, along the trail. There are more donkey bones. There were donkey bones in all these holes, but they're gone. Now we're entering the Stone Age area. This sassy area is thousands of years old.
Partially dug out of a type of rock that is mistakenly called tufa, which is a calcified sedimentary stone that is very crumbly and porous. The house is composed of 4 very large communicating rooms. There is a kitchen, a stall, and a wine cellar. The cave house did not have running water or toilet facilities. Next to the wardrobe, there is a cistern or well for the collection of rainwater. And when it was not possible to have one within the home, people shared the use of a cistern present in what was called the vicinato, after which the cisterns were used as living spaces or for other purposes. As animal horn was used by peasants as a container for oil,
This is where the
as
animals
they
were
were the
kept.
family's most precious resource.
How the heck did they get down there?
The stall, logical museum.
Would you believe that this was occupied until 1958?
And
The
Matera
peasants were
museum
all moved
farewell.
out because of unsafe, primarily unhealthy living conditions, the people living with their animals in such close quarters. It's no wonder there was plague in those days. Emilia just told me that the pink flowers are valerian, and in the past, the women of the household used to cook the seeds, and it acted like a sedative. They'd give it to the children so the children would sleep and not feel the pangs of hunger. A Matera ice cream stop. Really? Really? Good. Of course, I say that at every one, don't I? Delicious. You have to understand that in Italia, Everything closes for siesta, see, during the day. And if you're hungry after 3 o'clock, it's almost impossible to find some place to eat until 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. Finally found a bar cum cafe that serves ice cream, pizza, vino. We're happy. Some sort of expalazzo. Little taxis that make their way around the narrow streets. There are a gazillion places to eat. Every time I turn the camcorder off, I turn it back on again. So very scenic. These people have the right idea. We're sure doing our full steps. If you want to get into the protected park on the other side, which has more caves and wildlife like Egyptian falcons, you have to go down along these steps. It shows we are right there. Go round, down, 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 down. Then you go all the way across that bridge and to the right. It's a very easy trail. You can see people walking up and down it. Everywhere you go, there's another viewpoint and tour groups. Work began on St. Peter's at the beginning of the 13th century. On document of 1354 reports existence of 2 chapels at the edges of the side naves. Some of the frescoes are 16th century. That's rather weird. And the ceiling is decorated with portrayals of various saints. So many school groups, and of course they're just looking at it as a day out of school. Most of them are bored to death about all the details.